All right, I want to show you a set of numbers you've probably never seen before. And honestly, they might be the most important numbers we could look at. These are numbers that show how a community, by chipping in less than the cost of a coffee each month, could create enough financial pressure to completely change the game for thousands of young people.
Okay, let's dive right in. And I want to be super clear about something from the jump. This is not a fundraiser. This isn't an appeal for charity. This is about a cold, hard calculation. We're going to walk through a financial mechanism that uses the insurance industry's own logic, the logic of pricing risk, to create this massive incentive for saving lives. And once you see the math, you really can't unsee it. So that brings us to the big question, right? What is the actual equation for saving a life? What are the variables? What does the solution even look like? Well, we're going to solve it together, step by step. Okay, so like any good math problem, we need to know our variables. And to understand this one, we really only need two key numbers. One represents the human cost that we're trying to solve, and the other, well, that's the financial target we need to hit. So first up, the human cost. And this number it's just tragic. Every single year in America, somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 Black youth are killed by gun homicide. That's 7 or 8 young people, every single day. For this age group, it's the #1 cause of death. This is the problem we are trying to solve. All right, now for the other side of the equation. This one is pure finance. The entire U.S. insurance industry spends $172 million a year on federal lobbying. That's their whole budget, their war chest, to influence policy and protect their bottom line. Keep that number in your head, $172 million. It's the target we're about to blow right past. Okay, so we've got the human stakes and we've got the financial target. Now for the really interesting part, building the mechanism. We're about to see how small, collective contributions get turned into massive financial leverage, the kind of pressure the insurance industry simply can't afford to ignore. And look, we don't have to boil the ocean here. We can start small, really targeted. Let's just focus on 2 cities to start, Chicago and Philadelphia. The plan is to cover about 175,000 young people who live in the highest risk neighborhoods with $2 million term life insurance policies. And right away, the impact is just staggering. I mean, look at this. With those policies in place, the insurance industry is suddenly on the hook for $386 million in potential claims. That's just from 2 cities. You can see it on the chart. That figure is already more than double the $172 million they spend on lobbying for the entire country. So you're probably thinking, okay, that's huge leverage, but what does it cost? And this is where the math gets truly powerful. If the plan is funded by about 5 million Black households that earn over $100,000 a year, the cost per household, it breaks down to just $5.25 a month. That's it. Okay, so that's level 1. What happens if we scale it up just a little bit? Let's go to a pilot of 200,000 policies. This is enough to cover our first 2 cities and maybe start expanding into a third. And you can see how the pressure just keeps building. With just 25,000 more policies, the potential exposure for insurers jumps to $440 million. We're now at 2.6 times their entire lobbying budget. The squeeze is getting tighter. And the price for all this extra pressure, it goes up to $6 a month per household. I mean, that's less than your streaming subscription. It's one fancy coffee. For that, the community creates almost $500 million in financial pressure. Pressure that makes investing in violence prevention the only logical business move. And, it's worth pointing out, the funding model here is pretty flexible. You could slice this differently. If you were to fund this level using only the 900,000 Black millionaire households in the country, the cost would be about $33 a month. Still a totally manageable number for that group. But what happens if we go big? What happens when we take this whole thing national? At 900,000 policies, insurer exposure hits almost $2 billion. At 1.5 million policies, it's $3.3 billion. That is over 19 times their lobbying spend. At this point, it's not just pressure anymore. It's a fundamental shift in their entire business model. So all this scaling, it leads to the single most important question. Where is the actual tipping point? I mean, at what exact moment does the industry's behavior have to change? When does it become more profitable to prevent this risk than to just ignore it? So what do we even mean by a tipping point? It's really simple. It's just the moment where an insurer's own math proves it's cheaper to invest in prevention programs than it is to risk paying out hundreds of millions in claims. It's got nothing to do with morality, it's just pure profit and loss.
Now, here's the thing. You'd think that tipping point would be way up there, at that national level, right? With millions of policies. But what the data shows is honestly kind of shocking. The math shows the tipping point is reached right around 175,000 policies, the exact moment their financial exposure overtakes their lobbying budget.
And this right here is the most powerful part of the whole equation. The tipping point isn't some massive, unattainable goal. It's achieved right back at the beginning, at level 1. It costs just $5 to $6 a month. You don't need to boil the ocean. You just need Chicago and Philadelphia. That's where the math becomes absolutely undeniable.
Okay, so let's put it all together one last time. Here is the final equation, the entire financial mechanism laid out from start to finish. It's really just a simple, elegant 4-step loop. Step 1, families contribute a small, affordable amount. 2, a central fund pays the policy premiums. 3, this simple action creates hundreds of millions in concentrated financial risk for insurers. And 4, to protect themselves from that risk, insurers are now financially forced to invest in the very prevention programs that save lives. It's using the system's own logic to fix the system. And hey, for anyone who wants to see the raw data, for all you data nerds out there who want to check the work, here it is. The whole thing laid out in one table. You can track every scenario, from our starting point in 2 cities all the way to a national scale. You can see exactly how the financial leverage grows. The math is clear, it's all there.
So at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers. They don't have an opinion. The math is done. The plan is built. The only real question left is whether a community is willing to invest about $6 a month to create a financial reality the insurance industry just cannot ignore. And in doing so, rewrite the equation for its own kids.